What's up with it? White Boy Lockdown Radio back with another one. First time here, smash a sub, man. Go ahead and check out the members option below, but definitely subscribe. It's free. Shout out to my members and my supporters. I'm gonna bring everybody back to a video that I did in the very beginning of the channel. For whatever reason, I don't know, you start making these YouTube videos, you're just not used to, I don't know, recording yourself, I guess. It's something I've learned YouTubers go through. I don't know. But I guess I was uncomfortable when I did it. This is a personal story of mine when I was incarcerated. And it was just, it kind of explains prison in general, man. You never know the next man. You don't know their story. You never really know who you're talking to in there. You know, on this channel, cover prison, cover crime. You know, when it comes to the crime reactions and anything like that, you know, you follow cases from messed up crimes, crazy domestic stuff, people, things happening to kids. They go to prison, obviously, if they get caught or what have you. But it doesn't stop there. There's a life that they have to live in there. And they could be locked up with somebody who just has a monkey on their back, somebody who's not a bad person, just going through some things. And that's kind of where I'm at on this video. You know, in prison, you have to, it'll be tough to do the time completely by yourself. And even if you're that type of person, indirectly, you're gonna meet people. Personally, I don't recommend anybody make friends in prison because for many reasons. But it usually starts and ends there. To this day, there's only a handful of people that I still communicate with, that I was friends with inside of prison. One of those dudes comes on the channel all the time in my lives. He's been on my panels. JD. So you can catch the playlist on the channel to watch his story. But you know, at this certain story, I went to confinement. Okay, I was in confinement. I got caught with a knife, and I had something called disrespect to an officer. I just got out of confinement, and then I went back to confinement. So what happened was I didn't have a lot of time to serve to begin with, the whole prison bit. Okay. And I got in trouble. So my custody was low. But getting in trouble, it raised. And then because I got in trouble again right after getting out of confinement and for a knife, it raised. So they put me in a dorm that normally I wouldn't be living in. Okay, and this was a messed up dorm. It was H dorm. And it was called Horror Dorm. It had a whole bunch of nicknames. And at this prison, if you were in that dorm, normally you had at least 20 years or better, life sentences, all that type of stuff. So that's who I was housed with at the time. In this dorm, it was different than other dorms that I was housed with in this bid, because being medium custody, okay, medium or low custody in main institution, you're going to be surrounded with people with time, yeah, but more or less the same charges, the same amount of time, and this was just a different ball game. Had to be on your P's and Q's. And I really didn't talk to too many people in this dorm, because when I'm asked, I was forced to lie about my amount of time. You will get hated on. If you're around people with life, people with 20 years, you know, they're not never getting out. So, you know, you don't want to say, hey, I only have, you know, X amount of time left. They know you're gonna get hated on. It's just something that comes with prison, man. So for that reason alone, I didn't like to talk about it whatsoever. Okay, and also in this dorm, there's a lot of guys that are never getting out. A lot of them dudes in there had boys, messed with boys. It was real open and disgusting. They would hang the sheet, 2-man cell. They would hang a sheet. I mean, it's obvious what's happening inside there. It was just disgusting, man. A lot of gangs, a lot of time in there, man. A lot of time. So I talked to the people that I did talk to. I talked to a dude named TJ. He had, at the time, he had, I believe, 12 years left off of 20. He was in there for manslaughter. He's actually a good dude. Big old white dude. I used to work out with him. He's a good dude though, man. But besides TJ, who I talked to was Mr. Chandler. Now keep in mind, I'm in a dorm. I would say it was 85% black people, 5% white people, and 10% Spanish. Okay. That's just what it was. So it's not like I had a lot of options there as far as white guys went to who to talk to. And I'm not saying I didn't talk to any black people or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you a description of this dorm. In this dorm, my roommate, he was the co-defendant of Chris Johnson as a running back for the Tennessee Titans. A guy, running back, he has tattoos, dreads. He actually caught a murder case for that running back. If you Google it, do the research, that was my roommate. And he would go to visitation, and that guy would be there. Now my roommate had phones, everything going on. So I kind of lucked out getting in that cell because he had the phone. A lot of stuff like that. But it's not about my roommate or anyone else. This video is really about Mr. Chandler. Like I said, I only talked to TJ and Mr. Chandler. Mr. Chandler was, he was different the first day I met him. This is like at the time, he was 70-something years old. 70-something years old. And I was always been about working out in there. He would be on the rec yard banging out sets of 10 pull-ups. 70-something-year-old man. He was very much in shape, and he was a pretty funny dude to talk to. And I talked to him, man. For me, if I befriended you in prison, as long as you didn't have any funny charges, I would talk to you. And yeah, we had that conversation, and he didn't have any funny charges. But I had to notice, what I noticed is when I would walk out to the yard with this dude, or me and TJ, we'd line up in line, whether we're going to chow, yard, whatever. There was a very big amount of respect for Mr. Chandler. It was really messing my head up. And what I mean by that is we'd be, for instance, we'd be downstairs in his room, okay, because his room was downstairs in this quad, whatever, and when they would call chow, it's close to the door. So me and TJ, we'd meet down there before going to eat, okay, and so people would walk by and just pay homage, pay respect to Mr. Chandler. They'd pop in and just like, just say, just give him a lot of love. How you doing, Mr. Chandler? How you doing, sir? Respect OG. Like, it was a real big respect thing. It's something I've never seen any inmate get before, especially an older white guy. Okay, big respect. Okay, and to I mean, anywhere and all the time on the rec yard, chow, it was like people were paying him real homage. So he was interesting to me. He's very much in shape. And again, he had a good sense of humor, and I would talk to him, and I think that's why we got along, because I didn't really know who he was. And I would ask, like, bro, what the heck is this, man? Who are you, bro? And he would laugh. And I guess his thinking here was we were friends before I knew who he was, if that makes sense. And we were cool. And he explained to me his case. In his case, who he was, and basically his case, he was an original cocaine cowboy. There's like novels, books, even a movie, I believe, about him down in Miami. He ended up killing an informant for some Cubans, big, like some cartel stuff. And not only that, he escaped from Rayford. He escaped from prison. Okay, he had life to begin with, so he didn't care about taking the chance. But he actually escaped and got out, and he was out for, I believe, it was like a week, he told me. And he told me all that he did was go back to his life, which was cocaine. And at the time, he was down for so long, he just went back to what he knew, which was cocaine, chicks, and beers when he escaped. So he told me basically, you know, he got out and went to go where he was, and it wasn't cocaine when he escaped, it was now crack. You know, this was years ago, and he was all he was like smoking crack on a boat, okay, and he was all paranoid. Could you imagine you escape prison, they're looking for you, and then now you're paranoid because of that stuff. So he did get caught, but he went back, and I would be sitting there, and a normal day, and he would get called down to the head of the prison, and it was detectives trying to squeeze him on cold cases from that whole cartel, and that whole organization that he used to work for. And he would just go down there and tell them the same thing. You know, this is in northern Florida, so they drove all the way from Miami to try to get him to squeeze, and he would tell them, man, you guys just wasted a 12-hour trip. You know, right plan, wrong man. I mean, he was still G-code with it. That's why he got so much respect in the chain gang. Now, I also, what really blew my mind with this guy, and how I asked him, like, who are you, was working out. And we would talk about working out a lot. And now, and I knew he had a life sentence, okay? And we're having a conversation where he's like, you know, back, 10 years ago, you know, I was really big. And I was like, okay, well, what camp were you at? And he was like, oh, I was here, this and that. They had all these weights. I won championships. He was floated around so many prisons. But the way that he was describing this to me is like he was on the streets. And I was like, and then he was like, you should see the pictures I have of how big I was then. And I'm like, oh, let me see them. He goes in his stuff, his locker, and in my mind I'm like, okay, he's about to whip out the old photo album. No, he whips out a book. To the middle of the book where the illustrations are, and he's showing me the weightlifting stuff he's won in different prisons and whatnot, but it's a book. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, this is an autobiography. Now, after this conversation, I'm reading this dude's life when it's lockdown. So there's a book made about him. It was just really weird, man. It was a weird situation, but it was the only time in prison that I befriended somebody who, you know, took someone's life. You know, but I had befriended him before I knew. And more importantly, you know, he had became saved in the prison system. Not only did he become saved, he had the victim's family writing him, sending him money, and proud that he had became saved. They have forgave each other, or they forgave him. You know, and he would always try to tell the younger guys, you know, to do the same, but not in an overbearing way. And remember, this is prison where there's young guys in there that are in the streets hustling. That's their life. They like that. So he was like a boss to many, you know. I'd never seen this before. Of course he was my friend. Weird shit happens to me like that my whole life. It's my life story, but you know, I felt like I wanted to redo this one, man, because he's getting up there in age, you know, and it's only right for me to have this on the Inner Zones. Now, if you would like to check his book out, his name is Ronald Chandler. You'd have to do some Googling. I did try to get the book. I Googled it. It's very hard. It is now, if you want to do the research, you can. It is a Christian book that was published by local little publisher, okay, in northern Florida. So when you Google it, it would be like a volume X, something like that. It's hard to do. I'll try to pin the comment. He's getting up there in age, and you know, I gotta reach back out to him, man, and hopefully there's a way he can see this video. That would make my day, week, and year. It would be a lot better than the first one that I did. So shout out to Mr. Chandler. You know, hey, look, he saved. He taught me a lot, and he schooled me a lot about prison politics and whatever have you. You know what I mean? Definitely being his friend paid off for me, kind of, because he didn't have like a lot of friends, you know, so people paid homage to him, but he didn't like hang out with a lot of people. Me and TJ for sure, and that kind of like helped me in a weird way. People would look at me differently because they respected him, if that made sense. But that's not why I was his friend. But you know, I got to reach out back to him, man. So I wanted to redo this video, get it on the inner zones, man. It's at WHITEBOYRADIO on Twitter, and shout out to Mr. Chandler. I got to get some more prison content out. Lately, I've been consumed on these weirdos trying to save the world and stick up for exploiting kids, and I always fight that battle. But my prison experiences are those are videos that you're never going to see two of them. And on that one, man, I'm out of here. It's White Boy Lockdown Radio. Check out the merch on Teespring. We're gone. I could care less about that attorney and whatever he feels and thinks about. That family has ignored phone calls. That girl used to live there.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe, bitches.